Thank you for joining today. I'm excited to present our webinar about BESS with our partner Tecloman. And before the start, just a quick note that the webinar will be recorded. So don't worry to miss anything. And also you can ask questions in Q&A block. We'll answer them right before the end of the presentation.
Decided to go in a partnership together because of the necessities to integrate a storage system in the whole European market. And for instance, the reason of the partnership was that Solarity has a very, very deep understanding and a very long time experience for integration of renewable energy, especially as PV installations around Europe. And we as Tecloman, as a solution providers and equipment producer for storage systems, so we can gain this workmanship in this partnership together as a successful story, because we need such as partners who are in different kind of countries, working since many years, have a long time experience, and so this is our intention, that we can deliver batteries, inverter systems, transformer stations, and we need such as partners like Solarity. I think we had many different kind of workshops over in the last year. It was very successful. We also installed together a big system, BESS systems, over in Hungary. So I think it's in the moment successful story. But of course, the market is huge, and the things and the demand is also very, very big in Europe. And what is necessary to explain all the potential clients is what kind of applications we can realize with the storage systems together with PV installations. And I think I'm also proud to can do this here today. So my name is Thomas Ascher-Müssig, and I'm the Director of Global Marketing for Tecloman, and I am also the Director of Strategic Business Developments. So this means all of our joint ventures for partnerships worldwide. So I'm responsible for that, and all for securing the business, what kind of business development steps it's necessary to do to fulfill requirements from all the clients who are Europe, especially in this webinar, but from myself also in the global market. If I would like to start, then I am saying that every time it's for me the path to stable and sustainable energy, and this stable energy can only be realized together with renewables. So this means integration of PV and integration of storage system, and it will be a very, very important step also in the future to increase the capacity of storage system, to make the small, medium-sized, big industrial companies independent from regional power, to make sure that the power and the grid will be more stable. So this is then the necessity to do this together. And I can explain you a little bit why it's so important to have storage systems available. You can see, and this was a mass problem beginning on this year. It was in the spring, on the 28th of April. Everybody noticed that Spain had a huge blackout, and the standstill was many hours from beginning of noontime on the 28th until the next day in the morning. Then over the night, you can see it here on the pictures. No power was available. All the train were stopping. All the traffic lights. All the supermarkets. And nobody has light and nobody has power. And the reason of these things was missing of a storage system. You can see here the problem in Spain was that they have around 28 or 29 at the moment gigawatt installed PV, and so they don't have a storage system installed so much, maybe only 1 gigawatt hours. The problem was for this blackout that power plants in Spain, they got on the noontime too much power from the PV. So they couldn't get away this power maybe to the European network because all the countries have the same problem. And so the problem was then, but too much power in the power stations occurs that the frequency is then not more stable. And normally frequency is up to 50 hertz. And you see here that they had problems on the oscillation here in Spain. So frequency was going down mostly to 49 and then on the end to 49.1 hertz. And then if this is going down, then you have a blackout. So then at 12:33, the blackout occurs in Spain. We also saw some frequency problem in Germany, but we didn't have a blackout. I can explain you later why. And because of this blackout, normally it takes 4 or 5 or 6 hours before the big power plants can be back in the grid. But then after 6 hours, it was 6 o'clock in the evening and then no PV is shining. So then they didn't have enough power to interrupt the blackout and to start again the power plants. So this was a huge problem because of missing storage system. On the evening, they have no PV power because the sun is not shining. And during the day, it was not possible to store the capacity in the storage system because they don't have storage system. So it was a necessity to wait until the next morning to have enough power back. And this was the reason that they had more than 13, 15-hour blackout, and they were losing around 6 billion euros because only of this blackout in Spain. And yeah, why we didn't have this blackout in Germany. The problem also in Spain is they only have 4 transmission companies, and in Germany we have around 880 operators or transmission companies. So we have a decentralized grid, and the capacity is also split in high, in mid, and in low grid lines around the whole Germany. And you see it here over on the right side, we have so many different kind of renewable energy resources. We have hydro, we have solar, we have wind, we have others. So this was then the reason that we didn't have, and we have many storage systems. You can see on the bottom line here. In Germany, we have installed around 100 gigawatt peak PV, and we have around, at the moment, 23 gigawatt hour storage system. It's more than 23% over on storage system. So then we had enough storage system, and we don't have troubles for such as huge blackouts over in the future. This is the reason that it's necessary to install a storage system. Why it was not possible to bring this power from Spain away, you can see here, 2018, European Union was establishing the pan-European grid. And the pan-European grid is a grid that connected every of the grids in the whole Europe, and especially in the south of Europe. But all the south countries in Europe, they have the same problem. On the noontime, too much PV power, too much power from the solar. So they couldn't grab this overcapacity from Spain because every country has the same problem. But this was the reason that Spain had over the huge blackout. Sometimes, I will show you this on the next page, the European countries were saying, okay, because of PV, solar, and because of the situation that solar is shining mostly on the noontime at the best performance, and because of the wind is also sometimes very fluctuating, they were thinking about to integrate nuclear power again to make the grid more stable in the whole Europe. But on the end, it will be a huge problem in the future. And you can see this here on this screen. The latest state-of-the-art nuclear plant in France was started to produce 2,500 megawatt. This means they can gain 16,000 gigawatt hours a year and can spend this power to roughly about 4 million households. The regional cost was planned was 6 billion euros. And after installation, after commission and over the pre-working, the whole installation cost was 20 billion euros. So many times more is expected. And the maintenance cost of such as nuclear power plants is 7% from the regional investment costs. So this means after 20 years, the cost of this power plant is 48 billion euros. And for this 48 billion euros, they can bring power to 4 million households. If you would like to invest this $48 billion and invest in solar in south of Europe or north of Africa, you can invest 80,000 megawatt against 2,500. And you can gain over 1 year 160,000 gigawatt hours instead of 16,000. So this means with the same investment, you can produce power for 40 million households, 10 times more. And this is all of the reason that the pan-European grid is not willing to integrate such as nuclear power in the pan-European grid, because 1 kilowatt hour costs around 13.5 euro cents only for nuclear power. And it's all then integrated with so many subsidies and all of the additional costs if the nuclear power plant will be shut down for the next 100 years. So then it's too expensive. And because of this too much expensive cost, the pan-European grid decided to not integrate nuclear power. So this means we have to share the situation with many PV installations with fluctuating wind energy, and we have to make save this. And the only saving opportunity is to integrate storage system. This is the main information to all of you. The future outlook of renewable PV although is around gigawatt hours and terawatt hours in the future. On the left side, you can see until 2030, we have to install another 150 gigawatt hours in storage capacity. This is 150,000 megawatt hours on storage systems. It's a huge amount that we have to do this, for instance, over here in Europe. But it's also a necessity to integrate all the PV together with storage. And the PV power should be raising around to 100 terawatt up to 2060 and up to around 3 terawatts in 2030. So we have to install many of this PV. Nobody should think because of this blackout in Spain, we have to install too much PV. We don't have. We have to be independent from nuclear. We have to be independent from normal coal-fired plant power, and we have to install another PV together with storage system. You can see here in the next slide the annual European battery storage segmentation. And you see that is changing a little bit from 2024 because of 22 gigawatt hours installed capacity. Utility scale, the big ones has around 50%. So residential have around the same. It's roughly about 40%. But in some years, the residential systems will go back because of other issues, because of commercialized energy storage system. They can help communities, and I will show this later on. And of course, utility will also be a little bit more bigger, and the installed capacity by 2028 should be 78 gigawatt hours. What is the best opportunity? The power generation in Europe, you see it here, is mostly wind and over sometimes photovoltaic. But everybody is asking, if you're talking to your clients and say, what is the lowest, the levelized cost of electricity? What is the best opportunity to install? And you can see here, gas power is the expensivest one, although hard coal is expensive. Solid biomass is expensive because you have to use so much ground space. What is the best investment? The best investment is in PV, in wind, and of course, together in PV and utility scale, or wind and utility scale battery systems. And it's a mess that we have to do something. It's only an overview. Everybody will get this presentation later on, and you see what is our electricity generation. And for example, of the May 26, we have a very precise information. What kind of countries have the level of renewable energy reached? Austria, of course, because of these water plants. Hungary, they are missing something. The renewable share is only 39%. You see Greece, they all have a mismatching. They have to install more PV and more storage system. On the next slide, you see Romania, for example. They are a little bit more better because all of the water plants. Czech Republic has a huge necessity to install renewables again, and also Slovakia, for example. This is an information that everybody has to see what is necessary to help industry, to help the grid, and to have all big private homes. What Tecloman can do, together with Solarity, we can provide the solution for such as opportunities. So we are ranked right now at the tier 1 supplier of Bloomberg because of quality and introductions and the questionnaire to different kind of clients. We are delivering storage system. And this you can see here, we are delivering compact systems up to whatever 200 kilowatt hours for 400, 700, containerized solution for 20 feet, 40 feet container up to transformer station together with all the PCS with inverter systems. We have a huge capacity. Our main headquarter is in Chengdu, middle of China. The European headquarter is here in Germany, in Munich. And we have around, in the moment, 70,000 square meter for manufacturing area and around 20 gigawatt hours as a yearly capacity in 3 factories, full integrated with robot system, full automated. Otherwise, the quality for tier 1 supplier is not possible. We have more than 30 years experience, although in the utility market, because we designed all the PCS system. We also designed our own energy management software. And we're also providing the batteries, and we also developed battery cells. So then we can give the information that we are vertically integrated, and this is a necessity. I can explain you later on why. Where we are located, the headquarters is sitting in Chengdu, in the middle of China. We have offices in Australia, in South Africa, also in Congo, because we also delivered a whole turnkey solution to a mining company. We have our headquarters here in Munich, together with a partner in Europe. We have in Amsterdam an office, in Santiago, in Chile, in Mexico, in San Francisco, and over in Agadir, because we have a joint venture with a company that we are producing up to 2027 all the batteries in Morocco for the United States market and also for the European market. Yeah, what kind of applications are the main applications that we can provide storage system? This is a necessary step, and this is for e-mobility. E-mobility is a part that everybody would like in the future to drive electrical vehicle car. And so sometimes the grid in all the cities and around Europe is too weak. It's only maybe 50 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt. And so if you would like to charge with high speed, you have to put another big transformer station in the cities, or to put another buffer storage system to have enough capacity. You can integrate a 400, 500, 600 kilowatt hour storage system beside the charging pills, and then you have enough capacity for batteries. I will explain you this later on. Electricity marketing is a very common opportunity because of the overcapacity and missing capacity sometimes a day. It's in Europe the same. Even if you are looking to Czech, if you're looking to Hungary, Romania, or Germany, or the Nordic countries, everybody has a problem. Sometimes too much capacity in the grid, and sometimes missing capacity. And if you have a storage system, you can get the capacity from the grid. You will get money if you're grabbing this. And if the grid needs a capacity, you can spend it, and you can gain a huge amount of money for this electricity marketing. Another issue is coverage of power peaks. If you have a small company or medium-sized company, and you have a drilling and milling machines, and you're gaining some peaks, so you can cut the peaks, and then it's a necessity that you don't have to spend so much money to the grid companies. If you can cut the power peaks, it's a very important thing for industrial companies. In-house power consumption on the right side and the bottom is also a necessary step to reduce the normal grid consumption if you have a storage system and if you have integrated PV on your roof. Grid services, as I explained to you before, is a very important thing because of the over and missing capacity. And because of the overcapacity, sometimes it's agreed the frequency is unstable. And you saw, as I explained to you, the Spain problem, the frequency is one of the most important things for grid services. And so with storage system, you can help these grid companies to make the frequency more stable. Independency of power means all of this integration of wind and solar, you can be independent from the grid. So if there is a blackout and you have a storage system, you don't have a blackout because you have the storage system, and the storage can overgain and make their own grid with the right BCS systems. So then you are independent, and you can get over then a very, very cheaper power from the solar together with storage system. The load management is one of the biggest opportunities to help industrial companies to manage all the loads, unloads and loads. But the only way is to do this with storage system and with the right PCS systems. What means best for industry and utilities? The core power products, as you can see here, is integration of renewables, for example, in this case, all for logistics. In Europe, there are around 37,000 big logistic companies. And all these logistic companies, they have many, many subsidiaries, and they have enough roof capacity. And sometimes they have over in their buildings cooling aggregates, because if this is a food company, they have to cool up all these things they have in these logistic farms. In the future, they would like to use forklift systems, not anymore with lead acid batteries, with lithium ion batteries. So they need all the capacity for load these forklift systems. And in the future, they would like to use all the trucks, mobility trucks, smaller ones, bigger ones, and they have to load all of this with energy storage together with PV. So this is a very, very important opportunity. For the smaller items, as you can see here, the power systems for tomorrow means integration of PV for self-consumption is a huge opportunity, because in the moment, because of the solar panel quality and because of the sunshine hours in the whole Europe, you can gain with photovoltaic integration the power producing for kilowatt hours around 1 to 3 cents, euro cents, over in Europe. Together with a storage system, you can produce a power for around 7 euro cents. But then the most of the countries, they have to spend between 11 and 30 euro cents per kilowatt hour. So all with a PV and the storage system, you can produce your power more cheaper as from the grid. But what you have to see is the PV power, of course, the most of them you have only on the noontime. So then you have to make the power more stable. So you have to integrate the storage system. They can store on the noontime the overcapacity and giving them out on the evening or the next day in the morning. So then it's a very necessary step to integrate PV and storage system. You see it here for this integration for self-consumption. If you need a very stable energy on the whole day, of course, with some peaks, you have to install a PV. But PV alone doesn't help, because then on the noontime you have too much what you're doing with this capacity. So you have to reduce the whole installation of PV, and you have to install also a storage system. All this overcapacity on the noontime, you can store it, and then you can give it out from the storage on the evening, on the next day in the morning. But then it's a necessity to have a very independent power. And the capacity from storage system, as you also mentioned, and Christos, it's going down from 50 kilowatt hours up to 400 or 600 kilowatt hours in a very, very small compartment, and very, very compact system. For bigger industrial companies, it's a necessity to also provide not only PV integration, to also provide an opportunity they can eliminate the peaks they have. And you see here on this overview, hopefully everybody can see this. This is a typical company. They have a milling and drilling machine center. And sometimes they are getting many, many peaks on it, because different kind of machines are starting to produce something. And if you have an installation on PV and a storage system, with the storage, you can cut the peaks maybe over a special capacity of around a 400 kilowatt. If you cut the peaks, then you can eliminate all the peaks, and then it's an opportunity to don't have to pay so much working hour costs from the grid companies, because all the grid companies, they have to, in this case, provide you, if you don't have a storage system, then they have to provide another 800 kilowatt on the maximum on the energy, and you have to pay for this 800 kilowatt 24 hours 365 days. So then it's a huge amount of money, and if you can cut it, then you only have to buy from the grid companies around 400. So then you can save so much money, and it's the saving of the money is so high that the return of invest of the storage system is done in maximum 3.5 to 4 years. And then the lifetime of storage system is over roughly about 15 to 20 years. So then it's an opportunity, it's an obvious that you're saving huge money over in the future. And for such as peak shaving opportunities, then you can also use small capacity storage system up to 200, 400, 600 kilowatt hours, up to 1 or 2 megawatt hours, or containerized solutions like you can see it here, 5 megawatt in a 20 feet container can also help you to make these peak shaving opportunities ready. One of all the opportunities for integration of a storage system is communities. I explained to you in the former slides that the capacity of residential systems will go down up to 2028 or 2030. And the reason is that if you're working with only residential systems and on the end everybody would like to charge the car on the private home, then sometimes the grid companies are stopping to deliver power to wall boxes, so they can switch off automatically wall boxes and they cannot charge a car. So the reason is the grid capacity in some communities, the basic grid capacity is maybe only 40, 50 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt. So what the many communities are doing, they are investing in buffer stations. And this typical community electrical storages have a capacity of around 240 kilowatt to 4, 5, or 600 kilowatt hours. And this is a common also in the future if a community is starting to gain a new ground space for bigger private homes to make such as buffer stations instead of residential systems. This is the reason that I explained to you before the opportunity of logistic companies, and you can see here the yearly consumption for this case was 500 megawatt hours. The maximum power is 1,200 kilowatt because over the cooling issues and over the charging of trucks. And the trucks with lithium ion batteries and the coolings, and then against that they have to put more and more PV power on the roof. And with some more PV power, they can be independent. And then they can also bring this power for a different kind of other power to X. And that you can do peak shading, you can better do the energy management, you can make thermocouplings, so you can have a cooling in the summer and the heating over in the winter together with the storage system. And in addition of this performance, the most of these logistic companies, they have a big connecting point. So if you're starting the logistic companies, sometimes you're getting connecting opportunities from the grid companies to 4 or 5 megawatt. So it means if they're installing PV on the roof, they don't need any more such as big amount from the grid companies. They are a little bit more independent with storage system. What they can do, they don't have to give back this capacity, this overcapacity to the grid companies. They can, in addition, integrate or invest in a storage system and can start to do power trading. Even they had a connection for 5 megawatt, and because of the PV integration, they only need 2.5 megawatt. So they have 2.5 megawatt for making power trading. So they can do this 2 hours long. And then for another 5 megawatt storage system, they can then do, in addition to all these other opportunities here, power trading for 5 megawatt storage system. And this brings between whatever 100 and 150,000 euro per installed megawatt hour each year. So the return of invest of such as additional performance opportunity is maximum 2 years. The other opportunity is especially for energy storage system, and we are talking about lithium ion. We are not talking about nickel, mangan, cobalt. We are talking about not about lead acid batteries. We are talking about lithium ion batteries, ferrophosphate, LFP, and this is a common opportunity, and this is then also common for industrial data centers. They need this storage system because in the future they had only lead acid batteries, and because they were using these batteries only for emergency effects. And if the data center has around 10 or 15 emergency effects in a year, so they can live with lead acid batteries because the lifetime cycle opportunities of lead acid batteries is 1,500 cycles. This is enough if they have 15 times a year problem. But in the future and right now, all the data centers, they will change to integrate all the PV because it's a cheaper power. And for instance, if you're talking about SAP, for example, in Germany, the one of the headquarters, the consumption is 20 gigawatt hours a year, is a huge amount, and the cost is all around 20 euro cents. So they have to be independent from the grid, and if they would like to use over then lithium ion batteries or integration of photovoltaics, they have to use lithium ion batteries because the lifetime of lithium ion batteries, especially for LFP, is 8,000 cycles. And if you're integrating PV, so you have to charge and discharge your battery every day one time because of the PV. So this means in 1 year you need 365 cycles. In 10 years, 3,650. In 20 years, more than 7,500. So if the lifetime of the battery is 8,000 cycles, the lifetime of the battery is 20 years, together over with the solar panels. So then you have a very, very, very cheap price. And so you can also deliver and realize different kind of applications also to data centers, peak shaving, integration of PV, independency of emergency effects, together with storage and with PV integration is the best opportunity. So this is a very, very important and a very, very common business model and application around in the moment in whole Europe. Integration of bigger renewables is also very common. Sometimes the people are saying integration of PV is not interesting anymore, and this is a very, very not consistent statement, and it's a stupid statement because we need renewable energy, we need independency from coal-fired plants, we need independency from gas. Gas is one of the expensivest one, and so if you would like to put initial LFP sources around on the European side to getting gas from Canada, from US, or from other countries, it's too much expensive. So we need integration of PV, and it makes only sense if you have all the storage system. And it's also a common opportunity because of negative prices at the moment from the PV industry, because too much power on the noontime, then you're getting sometimes not enough money or feed-in tariff then from the grid companies. So you have to store this on the noontime, and then you can sell it to the grid companies with more expensive kilowatt hour prices, and then it makes sense to invest in PV and in storage system. What is necessary to do this and be independent from the grid is a very, very important thing that although is a step forward that the Spain people or the Spain government is thinking. Because of missing storage system in Spain, this was the reason of the blackout. They have installed 1 gigawatt storage system, but without black start capability. And black start capability means the storage system can start from scratch. If there is a blackout, the storage system can make their own grid and can bring the capacity in the grid again. In this case, they need a special inverter system that they can react in 10 milliseconds. Because if the complete system with storage and together with inverter systems, they can see if the frequency of the grid has problems. And if the storage together with the PCS systems, the whole system can see because of the software, the frequency of the grid is going down from 50 hertz to 49, for example, then the storage can switch in 10 milliseconds to their own grid and bring then the capacity in the grid, make their own grid. So then it's a necessity to have a black start capability on each storage system with an opportunity to switch in 10 milliseconds to synchronize all the three phases. And this is a very, very important thing. You see here on the right side, the three phases, if they have some frequency problems, the three phases are shifting. And if the shifting is not stopping in between 50 milliseconds, then you have a blackout. And in this time, the storage system have to bring the capacity in the grid with this opportunity of a reaction time of 10 milliseconds. You have to use then, in this case, a good inverter system and also a grid-forming inverter system. Yeah, what kind of opportunities we have to realize, such as opportunities with small compact systems. In this case, you can see it here. It's an Alcor system, liquid cooled, and it's integrated with inverter system. It's integrated with MPP trackers, maximum power trackers, if you would like to integrate PV. And this is 240 kilowatt hours, a very small compact system. And it's also existing in a different kind of way. You can see here although the liquid cooled part, everything is liquid cooled, not air cooled anymore. And this is also a very important step for better quality of the batteries and better performance of all the storage systems. You see here the record, although a fire suspension system. So every compact system is secured with a fire suspension system. And because of liquid cooled and also because of the technology of ferrophosphate, it's not possible to burn it as light as was done in the past together with nickel mangan cobalt solution, because the fire opportunity and it's from centigrade, it's higher on the LFP side. So this is a better solution also because of this. What is also necessary to know what is integrated in such as modules. In the battery modules are the battery cells. In this case here are LFP cells. And then we have a coolant. Every of this cell is cooled with liquid. The liquid is because of glycol in this distilled water. We have a heat exchanger. All the pumps and valves are integrated. We have temperature sensors all the advantages for over air cooling outside. But then it's a past that we can double check it in, very sensitive, and this is an effect of liquid cooled issues. And one of the biggest issues, all from the technology side, maybe it's a little bit too much from technology side, but I will explain you this briefly, is that if you're using air-cooled systems, then you have a problem that on the back side you have a ventilator, have a different kind of temperature as, for example, in the front side. And one of the biggest advantage on the lithium-ion battery cells is temperature uniformity. So we have around 50 cells in this battery module. And if one cell has another temperature, because of air-cooled system, the cell is regulating down from, for example, 3.2 volt to 2.6 volt, for example. But what does this mean for all the other cells? Important is that the whole module have to deliver a very stable energy into the rest of the storage system. So all the cells in this case are regulating down to 2.6 volt. Then you're losing around 10 to 15% of the capacity if you have trouble with one cell. If you're using liquid-cooled cells, you don't have the problem with the temperature uniformity. So the maximum difference will be then 0.1 centigrade. So you don't use losing capacity because no cell is going down to 2.6 volt everybody of this cell will be stable on 3.2 or 3.18 voltage. So then it's sorry, it's better effect. It's better effect that you have to use liquid cooled batteries. The reason is, if you don't use it, you have to make an active balancing. All the normal air-cooled systems, they are using an active balancing, because active balancing is then bringing additional capacity to very weak battery cells because of this temperature problem. But then you're losing capacity from your storage system. If you're doing this with liquid cooled, you don't need a big active balancing. A normal passive balancing is only necessary, and then you don't losing capacity or degradation from your system. So even if you would like to install in the future a storage system, every of the storage systems should be liquid cooled battery cells inside. Yeah, the advantages of the batteries is also the ramp rate control. This is a technical performance, and this is a necessity to increase the capacity and to increase the performance. Everybody is expecting to have a performance around cycle performance of the whole system for more than 88 or 90%. But then you have to have a ramp rate control, and this is a necessity also for having the best levelized cost of energy. There's another bigger opportunity. This is a polar system. The capacity of a rise between 100 kilowatt up to 700 kilowatt hours. So you can scale up this small compact system up to 12 or 15 such a small systems, over up to 1.5 megawatt hours. This is a truck, a liquid cooled outside cabinet. In the moment, it's around 418 or 520 kilowatt hours. Very compact system, together with the whole liquid part, and all the necessary certificates. This is another opportunity for such a systems, that you can use a 20 feet 5 megawatt hour storage container, and in this 20 feet container is 5 megawatt capacity. This is only possible with liquid cooled and with 314 ampere hour cells, and over the number of cycles, you can see it here is 8,000. So the lifetime of such a containerized solution is 20 years. The next part is the bigger BESS solutions for utility power. And for utility power means exactly grid services. Even these are the integration of wind, integration of PV, or to make the frequency more stable for bigger grid companies. And it's also possible with our products. And we can deliver containerized solutions. We can deliver compact systems together with big PCS systems, together with a complete skid of PCS or inverter systems, together with MV stations. And MV stations up to 5 megawatt hours. What does it mean, utility scale? It means the integration of PV and the integration of wind farm. In this case here, it's necessary all in the future to integrate wind together with storage system in the grid, because although sometimes the grid companies are shutting down the turbines because of too much capacity, and so then you're not getting any tariff about these shutdowns. So then many of wind farm owners, they are looking forward to a storage system who can store the overcapacity in the storage system and giving it later on to the companies or transmission companies if they need the grid, and they're spending then between whatever 15 and 30 euro cents per kilowatt hour. Although the support of solar power, and you can see here grid support is very important. You be independent. You can always bring all the PV power together with the storage system in the grid. And because also on the negative prices, and it's European-wide the same situation, sometimes because of the overcapacity of PV, they are not spending anymore any cash for providing from your PV farm in the noontime capacity into the grid, you're not getting any more money. So then your performance of the PV installation is not good enough as it was some years ago. So what you can do, you have to store at this noontime this PV power in your storage system, and you can send it then on the evening for distribution for 2 hours to the grid companies, and you're getting then, as I told you, a huge amount of money because the grid companies they need this on the evening or in the morning, and then they're spending between 15 and 35 euro cents. All the biomass is a best opportunity over for doing this in this market because so many biomass companies are existing, and the biomass will be expensive at the moment and will be going more expensive. So many of biomass companies are thinking they have to integrate it over PV and together with storage system because they need a huge amount of power for holding up these biomass power plants on their own. And this is also a necessary step that you can gain money. Many of the biomass companies, they're reducing their capacity for producing power from biomass, but they have all the very big connecting opportunities. The most of the biomass companies, they have connecting agreements with grid companies around 5 or 10 megawatt. So they can overuse for this free capacity a storage system, and then it's an opportunity to make money not only with biomass production, to make money only for power trading. And for this power trading opportunity, if they're investing in a 20 feet container, so one megawatt hour will cost around 180,000 to maximum 200,000 euro for the whole installation of 1 megawatt. But for power trading, they can get over between 80,000 and 150,000 euro. So in maximum 1.5 years or maximum 2 years, a return of invest is done. And then you can have this opportunity of getting cash for making power trading the next 5, 7, 10 years long. That is a very common opportunity. One of the biggest problems in the European world is, of course, the frequency stableness. And we don't have a very stable frequency because of over and the missing capacity. And you see it here, the whole European grid had 50 hertz grid, and this is a necessity. And the hertz frequency should not vary. If they're varying too much in the top to 51 or too much in the bottom to 49, we have a blackout. So the maximum fluctuation should be not more than 200 millihertz. So what they have to do, they have to see that many of energy storage systems owner can give them the capacity if they need the capacity. And if the capacity is too much, the frequency is going down. If they have a missing capacity, the frequency is going up. So for both situations, they need a storage system because then you can give with the storage the capacity in the grid. And if the grid has too much capacity, as you saw in Spain, you can grab from the grid companies in your storage this capacity, and you're getting a huge amount of money. And later on, if they're missing this capacity, you can send it back. And this is a power trading opportunity that you can gain a huge amount of money. And I can explain you here why it's so important. For power trading, you can also get a primary and a secondary reserve energy, PRL. And this means if you have frequency problems and the frequency is going down from 50 hertz, you need capacity for stabilization. And then you can, with your storage system, going in the PRL market and can give the energy companies enough capacity. And you see this is a capacity for whatever 15 seconds, or then later on you can also use this storage system for giving a secondary control. You can bring then this capacity for 15 minutes, for example. You can also have a territory opportunity, PRL, and then you see that you're bringing for 30 minutes, for example, capacity in the grid, then the frequency is going more stable. And this is a necessity, the frequency stableness, and this is the right grid support. And this is definitely grid support that helps the grid company. and you can get a huge amount of money. This means electricity marketing. And electricity marketing is then not only what I explained to here, P or L, frequency regulation, is also the arbitrage market, a day-ahead market. You can give an offer to the grid companies. You can go in quarterly hour auctions. You can make an intraday. And together with the grid support for the frequency regulation, P or L, secondary control reserve, for all these things, you can get at the moment in Europe, it's varying between 90,000 euro and 240,000 euro cash for one installed megawatt hours. And this is a huge amount of money. And the benefits for such things is maximum income, it's boost of a renewable energy, help utilities, of course, for this frequency stabilization, and also to help you for investment. And you can see for such as arbitrage market, electricity marketing, for power trading, day-ahead market, you have a revenue between 80,000 and 140,000 euro. At the moment, in the peak market, you can get more than 200,000 euro for each installed 1 megawatt storage. And I explained to you before, 1 megawatt storage system investment costs for the whole installation is around 180 to 200,000 euro. So return is lower as 2.3 years. It's sometimes between 1.5 years. Of course, you need the right storage system, you need the right batteries, you need the right inverter system. They have to have all the requirements. For instance, in Germany, this is a VDE. In other countries are other requirements, certification requirements. But the Tecloman, for the most of the European countries, we have all these certificates available. Yeah, this arbitrage market you see here, it's an example what was a market in the week 2032 in 2025 this year, and you see 73 euro per megawatt hour. It's a huge amount of money in different kind of countries, and you see there are so many opportunities, for 1 megawatt. It's a huge amount of money, and it's a necessity to invest also in this opportunity for power trading. Together, of course, with this storage system. The good issue is the storage system with liquid cooled part, it's possible to put this together. You don't need a very, very big distance. So we can shrink your ground space tremendously if you're using liquid cooled systems. You can put the liquid cooled system energy storage part in a 2-hour system. This means 5 megawatt hour system, 5 megawatt hour storage system combined with 2.5 megawatt PCI system. You can have a 4-hour system. You can have a 1.25 megawatt inverter with a 5 megawatt storage system. You can make a 2-hour systems for 10 megawatt if you're using 2 5 megawatt storage system and 2.5 megawatt PCS systems. So we have different kind of opportunities, and this is an opportunity also that Tecloman can deliver the whole structure and the whole system. You can have this opportunity as alternative solution. You can use for 10 megawatt hour system, 2 20 feet container, each 5 megawatt. You can use, as in this picture, 2 PCS systems, or you can use only 1 PCS systems. It depends what kind of strategy the client is following. We are designing this with 2 PCS systems. In this case, if this is a 10 megawatt hour solution, each should be then over 2.5 megawatt. This is a PCS systems, and the PCS system from our side is going up to 3.5 megawatt. Each can find, if you want. The very important issue is that the requirement of PCS systems is they have to work in the 3 quadrants for generation, for consumption, and in this mandatory zone. It's defined in the certification requirements, and this is over Europe-wide a very, very important thing. Yeah, together with our substations, we can deliver all the complete substation together with PCS and with MV station, and it's pre-assembled. One of the especially information over is what are the clients are requesting and requirements for the client. They're saying then the safety is a very necessary step. Safety requirements is important, fire protection is important, LFP does not burn as NMC technology is more safe, electricity reliability is a necessity, in economics, what kind of economics, environmental. So it's all the necessary to show this. And all the storage systems that we are producing over in China are 100% CO2 free. So we're only using renewable energy, 100% renewable energy from water and from solar. It's also very important of these environmental things, and all the forms of innovation. So all the Tecloman is working with a battery cell developers for integration of new different kind of materials, basic material kinds for anode, for cathode, and also for the separators. It's also very important because then you can decrease the degradation. You can get a better performance if you have such as innovation steps, and we're working then all of these institutes together. Yeah, big BESS installation for industrial companies. As you see here, a huge company for concretes. They have a huge power consumption for 26 kilowatt hours a year. They have to have a frequency control. They have synchronization opportunities. They have a power factor. And because of this huge consumption and magnetism, they have a huge current. And then huge current means a huge power factor. And the storage system can compensate it. So it's also a very big issue for power factor compensation. You can use storage system, and then your clients can save a huge amount of money. You see here, they have a huge network, an integrated internal grid, and they are using different kind of transformer stations. And for this example here, they have integrated 10 megawatt wind, 2.5 megawatt PV, and a storage system. They installed another 6 megawatt storage system for holding this internal grid as a separate grid and be independent also from the power. What is was also important for such as big industrial companies, the cybersecurity, and there are splitted all these internal grids in cybersecurity. It's necessary that they can grab from the storage system all the information they need, but the storage system should not look in their internal grid. And this is sometimes necessary to be independent from a cloud in China. So we have the cloud in Germany. We are using all the CPU from Siemens to be independent and to have the security or cybersecurity expectation ready. It is necessary for big clients all in the future. You can see here what you're also providing is, and together with Solarity, project calculation. And you see here for peak shaving, for example, this was a necessary step to say they can save 1,200 kilowatt and getting around 120,000 euro cash back, or saving this in 1 year. And then for the bonus that they got, they saved 150,000 euro. The investment in the storage system was only 470,000 euro. So then after 3.5 years, a return of invest was done. In the same year of pure L, only primarily secondary reserve control, it is frequency stabilization, is grid support. And you see here for a storage system for 451,000 euro, they got, because of this pure L regulation from the grid companies, around 94,000 euro. So then it's also only because of this, without any arbitrage, the return of investment was done in 4 years. Another opportunity is all the agriculture solutions for smaller compact systems up to 400 kilowatt hours, for milking machines, for farm vehicles, because the most of the agriculture companies, if they have a milking opportunities, they're starting in the morning and in the evening, and during the day they're not doing milking. So but then they need storage system. They have enough capacity for PV, but they need storage system for provide this solution. Although for e-mobility, as I told you before, it's a necessary step to have buffer stations for having enough capacity to put 400, 500, 600, 700 kilowatt hours into the charging pills to be able to charge with high speed. And the DC is very, very important AC takes too long. You have to start EV charging with high-speed DC-DC coupled chargers, and then you can charge in 10 minutes your cars. It's a very necessary step for using these buffer stations as for all the cars and also for trucks. You can do this without PV, you can do this with PV, and with PV is the best performance if you're using storage system together with PV integration and DC-DC coupled charging opportunities. These are the solution for high-speed chargers together with a compact system up to 700 kilowatt hours. You see it here. We having also mobile systems on the truck. We have also Q-Box. This is separate. The Q-Box is also an opportunity for bringing then power from the wind, from the solar farm into the grid to bring it on the grid companies. The capacity is also 700 kilowatt hours with all transformer stations inside drin. You have here the 3 phases. We have PE, everything with PCS system is integrated in this Q-Box. And this is a very, very good common. Yeah, so smart operation maintenance cloud system is a necessity. We have a cloud in Germany, and every of this information is situated in the cloud system. Energy management software is a big part. So we have our own management software, but on top, we can also integrate different kind of other softwares if the client would like to have it. An excellent service is a necessity. So we have service centers in Germany. We are starting to do this although in different kind of European countries, although together with Solarity. And yeah, this is an information of our certifications ranked as tier 1 on Bloomberg is a necessary step. Some small installations, some bigger installations here, 6 megawatt hours in Slovakia. And so then you can see here a bigger installation of many hundreds of megawatt hours together with a power plant that we did all from Tecloman side. Yeah, thanks a lot at the moment.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And thank you, Christos, also for the presentation. Now let's move to the questions. As I don't see any questions now, please leave them in Q&A box. We'll wait for a few minutes. Okay. In the meantime, I will ask something from my side, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I'm from Ukraine, and considering the current situation in Ukraine, what role do you see for BSS in supporting the energy resilience?
Yeah, for Ukraine, it's the same one. So they have, of course, unfortunately, because of the war, but also on the east side, they have different kind of capacities. Sometimes they have to shut down the power plants. Sometimes they have to shut on the power plants and having too much capacity. So they also have to integrate storage systems to make the capacity more stable and also the frequency. And this is all the same issue that the whole Europe has. Frequency is not stable because over capacity and missing capacity issues. And then it's also an issue that sometimes also in Ukraine, the power plants have to shut down, not because of the war, because of the frequency problem. And this can be solved with storage system. So there are many, many opportunities also for bigger installations like 100 megawatt hour storage system. And because all of the grid companies are spending money for this. So then we also have some questions and askings also from Ukraine to install 100 megawatt hour systems, for example, or 200 megawatt hour systems to make the capacity more stable. It's also too money for the investors.
Okay, thank you so much. Also,
what is also sometimes important is that the storage systems, they can at any time they can put away if there is any opportunity and any dangerous because too much siding on the east side to the war, then you can bring back the storage system easily with big containers to another place. Sometimes these are also requests from Ukraine companies.
Okay, I see. We have a question. Can we please get the marketing part of the presentation sent out back to the registrants? So the whole webinar is recorded, and we will send you in the follow-up email the link for the presentation and also for the recording. So you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, I think also, after this webinar, all of the people can send messages or questions, then we can also answer this later on. It's not a problem.
Yes, and also you can reach out through the email to us. We'll be happy to answer everything you need. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I think from my side, if there are some questions coming up about technology, so it was not able for me in this short time to explain the technology in detail. What is the differentiation between LFP and NMC technology? Both are lithium-ion technologies. What is your future expectation in the next 5 or 10 years? Are we spending more time with LFP, with lithium-ion? Are we going to natrium sulfate batteries? Are we going to zinc air batteries? Are you going to solid state batteries? I think everything of this new technology takes time, but if there are questions, I can also answering in a special email then.
Yes, thank you. Don't hesitate to ask these questions as well. So I think that brings to an end today's webinar. Again,
Alexandra, sorry, I have a question for Thomas.
yes, sure.
Very quick question. I see that from my region as well, there are some participants. Uh, Regarding my region, Thomas, the most the feedback has to do regarding the legislation and the problems coming from the law, and from the government side. I mean, in order to proceed with the project, most of the customers are asking what is going on with the legislation regarding the BSS. I would like to ask you what is going on with the other regions. When we have what is the feedback you have regarding the projects that we have already done in other regions in the European Union, I mean.
You mean the lifetime of the project or the granting of this project?
Yeah, yeah, especially regarding the grants, because I have already a lot of projects in Greece and in Cyprus as well. Most of the customers, they have some problems, some issues regarding the legislation. They're waiting for grants, you know how it is. So I have seen that some participants are coming from Greece, so they would like to hear from other regions in the European Union what you have seen regarding all that kind of legislation from other European countries.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have the overview about all the countries, but many countries in Europe, they are getting granted by the European Union. So if you're, for example, making a power trading opportunity, you're using normal power traders. And these power traders, they are getting the money from the transmission companies. The transmission companies, if they are subsidized by the European Union, they have to grant it. And for power trading, the normal power trading market, if you're talking then to institutes, for example, also to Fraunhofer Institute or others, and if you're talking then to power traders, then if you are investor and you're investing in a 20 megawatt storage system, then you have to have a power trader. He's trading for you all this power. He's doing this automatically. They're expecting that a high level of price up to 180, 160,000 euro per 1 megawatt hour. This will be stable the next 7 years or 8 years. After 8 years, it's a little complicated. So the Fraunhofer Institute mentioned the fluctuation of energy will be stable in the next 20 years. So then it's maybe not in the high price level, it's then maybe then only 120 or 100,000 euro per installed megawatt hours. But I think for the next 7 or 8 years, it will be stable.
All right. Thank you very much.
We have another question. Can you see it or I will read?
Oh, I cannot see it.
Okay, I will read. How smooth is the integration of Tecloman BSS to existing PV installations with different inverter brands, for example, Huawei? What typical issues have you experienced with combining older PV plants with BSS?
Yeah, if you're combining all the PV plants to BSS, it's a different kind of story. You know, if you're making a new PV plant, you can work with a hybrid inverter from the storage system. You don't need string inverters. If you have an old system or installed system before you're installing the storage system, so you have to integrate MPP trackers in a generator. It's all possible. And the maximum power tracker means they are tracking each string together in the same level to bring it in a very safe and same level way into the storage system. Then you have to use MPP trackers and a special generator for doing this. It's also possible to work then with the string inverters. Even you have a hybrid inverter in the storage system, but it's possible.
Okay, and what about the different inverter brands?
Different inverter price. So I don't
Brands.
like to tell the price of the inverters.
No, not price, brands, like
The brands. Okay,
Huawei
sorry.
or yes.
We are using different kind of inverters from our side. We have our own inverters. We are working over with SMA. We are working with Delta. We're working with NRG. We also can integrate Huawei inverters if they're existing. If there's an existing plant with installed Huawei inverters, we can also integrate it. Then we need a special generator. We have this, but we can do this.
Okay, so just if it already is existing. But
Yeah.
I would suggest to send to the participants the list with the compatible inverters that in order to have it in mind
Yeah.
for current or future projects.
yes, that will be good to.
It's always depending what you are doing. If you would like to have a storage with a black start capability and you have only string inverters, for example, from Huawei, they don't have the application for switching in 10 milliseconds, then you cannot work with this Huawei. But if you're only integrating PV, then it's obvious a possibility. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you for the answers. And thank you for the sharing your expertise, for the great presentation. And thank you all for joining today to our webinar. Oh, sorry, one more question. This will be the last one and we'll end because it's time. Do you have examples of flawless operations of EMS from third party with BSS? Any limits for large systems like 5 MW and high?
Yeah, we have our own EMS software, but on top on this, sometimes it's necessary to integrate other ones. So we integrated sometimes from Positron, a special one, also for a new integration of wind farms, also for agriculture. If there's any questions, I can also send an email back to this question. We have integrated some special other EMS software because we are working with an open source platform, and this open source platform can integrate other systems, other EMS software systems. But I can give, if there's a special question, the name of the integrated external softwares we are using in a special email.
The question also was what brands you are familiar with.
I don't know exactly from the technology side. We have our own EMS software. and the other ones are from different kind of users, like from B-Storage, like from Kiwi Grid, and Positron. But I can send then information email what kind of separate second source, a third party EMS integrators we were using.
Okay, thank you. That would be good. And thank you again for attending the webinar. We are out of time, so I will end it. We hope you find it useful, and we look forward for seeing you in our next event. Thank you
Well,
all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you also from my side to everybody, and also to the whole team of Solarity.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.